Welcome to a world of mystery. A world so dark that you can barely see. A world where the macabre becomes a reality, and your reality becomes the strange and unusual. This is an October edition of the Cain Stevens Paranormal Super Show.
The antique mall, it's gonna close here pretty soon, and nobody's bought me. I can't understand this at all. And you know what? I hate to spend the night here because there's nothing to eat except a 1940s can of Army surplus beans. Blech. And, oh, wait a minute. Here comes a nerd right now. I think we might luck out.
The Book of Werewolves. I could get weird on some werewolves. Oh my god, Dr. Sanguinary memorabilia. I just sold this postcard last night for $100. It's $60. This is awesome. Yes. Wait, is this a Dr. Sanguinary life-size action figure with matching bedpan and the soft spot? Okay, I have to check and see if the pull string works here.
You're my best friend forever. Let's play Creature Feature.
Awesome, and it's only $35. This is insane. Check this pull string again.
It's a good thing you're a nerd with no friends. That way we can spend lots of time together being pals.
Okay, fine. Hopefully he says something else. Jeez.
Hurry up and buy me right now. You can take me home, and we'll have lots of Creature Feature fun. Don't forget to pick up some pizza on the way home.
Your wish is my command, Dr. Sanguine. I'm taking you home right now. Hey, Doc. Hey, Doc.
Hey, get out of there.
Hey, you know I've got more stuff on TV than just channel surfing. You know, I've got some horror films.
No. See, you got this cable thing here, and you got like 300 channels. Look at that. You got Sports Channel 1, and Sports Channel 2, and Sports Channel 3, and Sports Channel 4, and get out of there. And Sports Channel 5, I'll be here all day watching sports channels. This is pretty cool.
Wait, Doc, no. 60-Foot Kittens, Attack of the 60-Foot Kittens. We'd watch it together. We're gonna be best friends.
No, tell you what, you got all these stations here, and I ain't got them back in the lab, you know, because we're poor. And so I figure I sit here, we can watch all these sports channels and stuff. So why don't you be a good pal and go get me another beer?
What have I told you about wasting your money on giant celebrity action figures? Here's the keys to my car. You know what to do now. Hey,
what's going on?
All right, everybody, it's Spooktober once again, and we've had a killer month, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have this guest on the show. He is, I'm a personal fan of his. He's perfect for this show, and I can't say anything about him that hasn't already been said just by looking at him. So let's welcome Dr. Sanguinary, everybody.
Yay! Hey, it says on your little thing in the backdrop, the Cain Stevens Paranormal Super Show. So what's the paranormal portion of this show?
Well, the paranormal portion is basically, I used to have the Paranormal Super Show all the time because I like to talk about nothing but ghosts and all that stuff. Well, then I figured maybe I'll be like the poor man's Oprah or something, and so I'll talk to all different guests. So I switched it to the Super Show, but for 1 month, for October, we talk about nothing but paranormal, nothing but spooky stuff, all that, really everything I'm already talking 85% about. And
it's very hard to interview those ghosts because they don't say nothing.
They say nothing to me most of the time. Sometimes they do, and it scares the hell out of me.
If they show up.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you to
You've
have
got a ton of things going on, man. I mean, you've got the show that just came out on the CW in the Twin Cities. You've got you just got married, which is a pretty big big thing. You're kind of doing it all, man. I mean, your life is on a trajectory like I don't want to say a meteor ready to hit Earth, but you've got a pretty good trajectory going on right now.
things stay interesting, and 9 times out of 10, you work for certain goals, you get them. So, the CW was a long work in progress, and we finally got that up and running, and we're still perfecting it. It is a work in progress. For those of you who are joining in, don't know, or even don't care, Creature Feature was running for about 10 years on in Omaha, usually on the Fox station. And then I had an epiphany that, I'm not going to get anywhere doing this show in Omaha. I'm just spinning my wheels. I want fame. I want fortune. I want girls. And no, my wife is shaking her head. No girls. But anyway, so we moved out. I decided to test market it for a year or half a year over in the Quad Cities. Davenport, Moline. I don't know what the other two are that make the Quad, but anyway, did very well there. I was very impressed. Our second week that the show was on, I did a little nerd con, and we had a number of people come to the con, and they wanted to get pictures and say that what they liked the show. So I'm like, hey, people are watching it. This is awesome. They didn't know who Dr. Sanguinary is. They were not aware of the character. They didn't even need to know any background on the character to enjoy the show. So that means anybody, anywhere, anytime can just click this show on and get right into it and have a good time. So we were shopping it around to a couple of different big cities, and the CW in Minneapolis reached out to us because they originally had a show called Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Wow, yeah.
And they had hired Joel to create that show for them, and it was done at the station, I believe. And after, I don't know how long it ran there, but Joel did buy out the show. I think the station swapped ownership or something. So he bought the show and then ended up taking it to cable and went on to Fame and Fortune. So anywho, they know where I'm coming from when I knocked on their door. So I just said, hey, I'm Dr. Sanguinary, and boy, am I cheap. I want the cheapest time slot you got, because this is basically a paid program. So give me cheap. And oh boy, they gave me cheap. 6:30 a.m. Saturday mornings, like right after the Farm Report and before some crappy kids show or teen news show or science show or something. It doesn't matter. We're on TV. We're starting here, and we'll eventually work ourselves into a better time slot. It's just going to take some time. We have to wait for the My Pillow guy to die. We have to wait for My Electric Blanket Man to die. All these other infomercials that are sucking up the time that I want to get into. So it's just a little waiting game. And they're working with us. They're wonderful station. They're running the commercials for the show. We're going out and doing a lot of events with them. So at the beginning of November, we'll be out at the Twin Cities Con, which is one of their big nerd cons. So we'll be CW booth there handing out junk to all the boys and girls and whatnot. So that'll be fun. And CW gets into all sorts of, neat little events and whatnot. So, oh yeah, I'll be following them around like you wouldn't believe, handing out stuff. So off to a very good start. They haven't had anything like this in years. I was visiting some local businesses and whatnot and talking to some business owners, and they said that maybe 10, 15, 20 some odd years ago, they had some Count Crapula guy or something that tried to do a Creature Feature show and didn't last, didn't stick. And I said,
that was me, that I blew it.
I'm going to stick because, mind you, in Omaha, there's the brand recognition, as we say, yeah. But I'm going into a market that they don't know anything, that, they have, maybe they watch the guy with the top hat, on Saturday nights. Mm-hmm. But my show is definitely a lot more toxic. So, we'll see if and when they're ready for us. We'll eventually make a jump to a late night
thing. I've already had one episode botched by the suits. They saw it and they had to run it through legal twice. And they're like, nope, they said, you can do this, but you can't do this. But we'll let you do it when you move to a later time slot. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
They
and
don't want
that
to scare grandma going to church in an hour or two, right? They don't want to give grandma a heart attack.
no, it ain't grandma that's gonna have the heart attack. It'd be grandpa.
Yeah. There you go. Well, I know why too. You know, I know why because I watch. So I get why grandpa would probably have blood flowing in different spots and everything.
Oh, well, you know what? I'm going to give you an exclusive. So I'm going to give you right here, right now, or whatever. You can debut this little video that didn't pass the censorship thing, and you can show it to all your fans out there. So this was a little filler that we did. So you know, like I said, folks can watch it, and it will eventually run at some juncture in time, but we have to fix a few things on it. But it's suitable. It's definitely suitable for the internet. As a matter of fact, it won't even make the internet blush.
Yeah. There's a lot of terrible things on the internet. I can only imagine, you know what I mean? Like I may not even be scratching the surface on the dark web, you know.
Mm-hmm. No, it's broadcast ready. So
yeah, it's not cat torture videos or anything like that. So I think you're
no, it's fun, wholesome family entertainment with a magician.
exactly.
You know? People like magic tricks and magicians and their pretty assistants.
Yes, they do. And so for the listeners in Lincoln and Omaha, I do want to say that you can watch the show on creaturefeaturetv.com. You can watch it. Something that stuck out to me was you posted, you know, it's always available. It's always available worldwide, 24/7, 365, except from Russia. Screw Putin. And it's always free. And I thought that was a killer tag, especially right now, very timely. And it just everything.
We try to stay as hip as we can. We can't keep up with the South Park guys, but we try.
Yeah,
so
you guys do.
Anybody can watch this anytime, anywhere. You know, it's strange because in the past 10 years that I've done this show, I've watched all sorts of demographics change.
Mm-hmm.
And hosted horror shows were in the toilet decades ago.
Right.
You know, the guy with the top hat has managed to, you know, syndicate himself, which is fine. He's got all the stuff to do that. There was another guy out of Detroit that had syndicated himself, and that was around the time I started coming into the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And his show I could only catch if I was in Lincoln.
Yeah.
Because he was on, there's just too many little crummy cable stations. And he ran for about a couple of years and then bellied up. And then there are probably, I can probably count on just one hand, the hosts that are left on broadcast television. Whatever's on the internet, you don't count. So yeah, there's the dime a dozen on the internet. Everybody's got a garage band.
Are there a lot of like YouTube pretenders and things like that, like people doing like YouTube creature feature type stuff? I mean, without mentioning them.
Tons of them. There's a new one every week, you know. And it's, you know, it's either people reviewing movies or, you know, they grab the public domain movie and, you know, try to do their comedy shtick or whatever.
Right.
God bless them. You know, it's a tough racket. You know, I've got this show on and it's taken me years to perfect what we have as far as our skit comedy, because as we started doing the show, you know, we were maybe on for what, 5 to 8 minutes worth of doc shtick with whatever crappy movie we were running. But as it caught on, people wanted more and more of the shtick and less of the crappy movie, which I can't say I don't blame them.
Yeah, right.
So it ended up being about 20 minutes on average, which is long. So we had kind of kicked around the idea for a number of years about doing, a Dr. Sanguinary show, or, something that was just the skit comedy. So I said, well, with the CW here, why don't we just try doing the skit comedy show, and then we can throw in little horror shorts, and I've got a catalog of all sorts of goofy, wacky things. We make all these little filler shorts, which is like the magician one that I'm gonna let you guys run. So we're focusing on the comedy bit, which that's what we love doing. When we get together and shoot these shows, this is how we blow off steam at the end of the week.
Right.
He gets together. We work very hard. We work very fast. We try to knock out 2 episodes on a weekend afternoon. So usually it takes on average about maybe 2 to 3 hours per episode to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on how much mess I got to make or whatever, The editing, that takes on average about 8 hours per episode, because you have to add all the little sound effects, or once in a while I'll spend the money, and I had to buy an explosion the other day.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So, I'm keeping up with putting goofy little stupid things in there, just to, make things visually interesting. And of course, the show is always evolving. I can't evolve. I have to stay within my little Dr. Sanguinary parameters here. I can't go out and do glitter. I can't be the chameleon that Bowie was.
Yeah.
But the rest of my show can. So the set is always evolving. I'll have an Igor cage up pretty soon. That's almost done. So Igor will be back where he's supposed to be, and I can throw people in there to get all chewed up and whatever. And Igor can have his wild parties and raves and whatever in there. That'll be fun. We've got a whole bunch of new cast members.
Right.
So it is just very interesting because a lot of these people that come in, they might come out and see me at, I don't know, Comic-Con or something. I got a table set up, hawking my t-shirts and whatever, selling corpses out of the back of my car. And they'll come up and they'll chit chat and stuff, but you can kind of see it in their eyes. They're like, I kind of want to be on the show. I can do these characters. And I'm like, okay, well, hey, I'm game. I pay this much. I pay nothing. So if you can do that, come on in and we'll see what you're made out of. So we've got quite a few new cast members, and we got some new ones coming in very soon here. So our shooting schedule, of course, is ramped up with being on TV. So we've got we had Convoy, one of my personal favorites, that dropped today.
Yeah.
Sundays is when the show hits the online, and Saturdays is on TV.
Yep.
We have Cretaceous Lacey coming up. And for those of you who follow our Facebook page and whatever, Lacey has been with us for just over 10 years. We have a number of cast members that have been with us for that same time. Eric Kramer, who's the Wolfman. Moose Epperson, who plays a million characters and, runs camera and edits along with me. We got, of course, Nurse Lacey. I think that's it for the really, really old timers. But yeah, these people stuck around for forever doing crazy stuff with us. And, it's fun because you watch their families grow up. I've had everybody's kids on the show,
Right.
Start even my own when he was, just this tiny little tot, and now he's like 6 foot tall or whatever. They've grown up, and they're like, yeah, Dr. Sanguinary, I was on the show. I felt shame. But it's fun getting everybody on, and just like I said, this is how we blow off steam. We have a lot of fun. If it reflects that on TV, I sure hope it does, because when I was a kid watching TV, I had shows like I was in Chicago most of my youth. Well, we had the original Bozo show,
Right. Yeah.
They're
Absolutely.
on WGN, which was, blasted worldwide with cable. And, uh, that was very loose, off the cuff. You're working with kids or doing the shooting it live or whatever. So I like that aspect. And then we had another guy called Ray Rayner there on WGN in the mornings. He had this morning's kids show that the kids would dial into, and he'd do all sorts of crazy stuff. Then you got Captain Kangaroo, of course, which is a lot more polished. But I grew up with that kind of stuff. So I like things that are loose. We don't do 300 takes at Creature Feature, which it might reflect that on the show. But it's usually that the first time we get it, it feels pretty good, unless somebody fumbles a line, and then we have to, once they fumble a line, it's all over.
Yeah.
Because then it takes 300 shoots for them to get this one sentence out.
Right.
And it's just insane. It's like, come on, then we're laughing, and then we're cracking beers, and then that 5 minutes turns into 20. I'm like, come on, guys, let's get this back together here. So,
Well, you get the fun thing about the show is that it is the cast of characters. It's just it's the content, it's everything. It's just a flat out fun show to watch. Like, and when you're watching the same old boring crap all the time, like you guys in your time slot, I think of like what do they got you guys up against? Like an episode of Saved by the Bell. Like, you guys deserve to be, you guys deserve to be in that late night slot, and you'll get there. I know it. And I believe it. But where did you guys, you must have been a horror fan. You guys have to be horror fans to do this sort of thing. So what kind of brought you into your love of horror movies and everything else?
so when I was a little kid, I used to wake up really early in the morning to go catch this show that was on at like midnight or something. My grandfather would come over, and he would wake me up at 12:30 in the morning so we could watch wrestling together at like 1 a.m. And this was the old school wrestling where they beat the crap out of each other with metal chairs, and there was blood and gore, and it was horrible and nasty, and it was the most incredible thing to see when you're 5 years old.
The good stuff.
But anyway, I catch the last half hour of this horror show, and I'm like, oh, what is this? I really, really like it. It was Sammy Terry's Nightmare Theater. Sammy Terry had this kind of vampire-y character, and he just had his set with his coffin, and he had the rubber bat that flew around, and he talked in prose. So he was almost like the Dolomite
Right.
of horror host. But he'd have all those crappy public domain horror movies, nothing good. And so I would wake up at 5 o'clock. I'd set my little Mickey Mouse alarm clock. I'd wake up and I'd sneak into the living room, and my mom or my dad or somebody might wake up and go, looking like, what in the hell is he doing watching TV? And I'm like, it's Sammy Terry. And they're like, okay, whatever, which was great. I'm glad they didn't beat me and send me to bed. They let me watch these crappy Creature Feature shows. And then at some point, I think Star Trek was on after Sammy Terry, which was nice, because then I'd fall asleep with Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock and dream about being beamed on the Spaceship Enterprise and everything. But anyway, yeah, so, I grew up with that kind of stuff. So when we moved to Omaha around 76, I started flipping channels Saturday night, because I'm figuring that, I just naturally assumed that every city had a late night horror host. And I wasn't disappointed. So, and the thing that I liked about the original Doc was he was accessible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, hey, kids, come out and see me. I'm at the Fishbowl Saturday from 3 to 5, signing autographs, bring $1 for MDA. So you could see this guy. He was like dog poop. He was everywhere every weekend. It was awesome. So, I collected quite a stack of the little autographed postcards, and I could write to him at the station. And if you did that, he actually kind of wrote back a little message to you. Hey, thanks for writing. Or I'd bitch about Godzilla movies, because he could not show enough Godzilla movies. And I remember him telling me, I went to go see him at the Fishbowl, and I'm like, hey, Doc, what is it with all these crappy werewolf movies you have? It's like every other week it's werewolf this, werewolf that. What about the Godzilla movies? And he'd been out all day. It was the middle of like July. He'd been out all day, and I think being in this aquarium store was like the first time he'd been in air conditioning all day. His makeup is all melting off, and he looks at me and he's like, kid, I don't buy the movies. there's a guy that purchases these packages, you see, and you get one good movie and the rest are garbage. So if you want to get some other movie, then you got to call up the station. You got to talk to this guy because I don't have anything to do with it.
Yeah. And then you cried yourself to sleep.
And then that way I was like, okay, fair enough. And meanwhile, the kid behind me is screaming and crying in terror because it's like meeting Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, he works at the TV station. Chill. Yeah. It's always fun, because kids nowadays, of course, are far more jaded than we were back in the 70s.
Yeah, sure.
You could believe in Santa Claus back then. He was your friend and not a child molester.
Wait, I believe in Santa now. What do you mean?
Yeah,
I believe in something, right? But I don't want to give it away, but I mean, you did write. I was looking through some of your stuff. You did write or you have a book like a scrapbook type book that is available now, and it's talking about the former Dr. Sanguinary and everything. Where's that available right now?
Nowhere. Haha.
Oh no. Did I say something I shouldn't have?
No, it will be back in print. I've ran it. I've done three runs of that book.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at this juncture in time, there are probably about 600 copies floating around the world.
Yeah.
And it took 3 runs for somebody to find a big error on a page for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta do some. I gotta change one page, which ain't that big a deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm due to do another run of those books.
Sweet.
My merch machine, I will admit it's sloppy. I'm doing this TV show. You get your guy with a career. I got a full-time career position. I work a night part-time job. I got this nagging wife that's just draining all the money out of me and eating me out of house and home, and it's so sad. But
a leech,
I try to keep T-shirts going. I am working with a vendor in China at the moment to get some plushie dolls made.
Yeah.
So I'm about 2 weeks away from sending out all the embroidery because I told them let me do the facial work files for the embroidery work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have that. They'll send me a sample. I'll go, okay, is this cool? Or is this something that I'm just going to use to beat the cat with or something? Who knows? But we'll see where we go with that. But yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Something new and different that I haven't had before. The book, I'll have a revised edition probably early next year.
Perfect.
So if folks are interested in learning about old John Jones and the origins of everything, then it's there for him.
Well, how long did he run the show? Like when was the end of his era in doing the show?
Well, his show started in 71. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And pulled the plug on it in 83.
Okay.
But he kept doing the character until he died.
Yeah.
Because he was still maintaining that presence with his fundraising for the MDA and all the other little charities he worked with. And I mean, he was Omaha's Mickey Mouse. Everybody knew him. I run into people and they're like, oh my God, I got so many stories about going out and getting drunk with Dr. Sanguinary.
I had.
The man was legend with beer. Unfortunately, I cannot keep up with that legend. I tried.
Yeah.
But my liver said no. So, and my weight said no.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we do honor him from time to time by popping a cold one, or actually a room temperature one. He did not like his beer cold. He liked it.
Really? That's something different.
So he would walk into the bar and he'd order 2 beers. They'd tap him and he'd put one off to the side to let it warm up, and he'd slowly sip the other one. So anywho, yeah. So all that stuff's in the book.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. A lot of history, and unfortunately, I just did a charity event a couple of months ago. We did a fundraiser for Nebraska Parkinson's. And this was in the memory of Carol Scott, who was a one of the news anchors on KMTV back in the 70s. Very popular young lady at the time. And she ended up marrying Chip Davis from Mannheim Steamroller.
Wow.
That marriage lasted a couple of years or whatnot. But anywho, that generation that grew up with John, they're all on their last legs now. A lot of these people that I interviewed for the book, they're gone. So I'm glad I captured the memories when I did, because the baby boomer generation is slowly fading off, and nobody, people had captured bits here, bits there, but it took me 10 years to go around and scrape up all the surviving video footage, go driving around the country doing all these interviews. I found John Jones's old girlfriends. I found the girls he dated in college when he went to Creighton. I mean, I found everybody. I left no stone unturned. I tried to verify everything, 3 times, like a good reporter, just to make sure what I got in there is solid and concrete. People had boxes of crap from the TV station that they'd been saving for, 40, 50 years. And they're like, here. I had one guy that he worked at the station in the late 50s, and he had a box of stuff and I was like, oh my God, look at this stuff. He had stuff from the original first horror show host in Omaha, Gregor.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, this stuff is like gold. And he's like, here, I will let you be the caretakers of this because my kids don't give a shit. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, I will definitely take that. And all that stuff's in the book, of course. So anywho.
Well, no, I mean that's all great stuff. I just want people to know, that I was hoping that it was still available, but it sounds like it's going to be coming out soon. So I want people to be turned to all the stuff that you're doing. I mean, you've got content galore. You've got you've got t-shirts, you've got all this stuff, you've got merchandise, you've got everything. And I mean, it to me, it's important as a horror fan. If you like B horror, whatever you like. I mean, I'm big into slasher flicks. My Mecca just happened, on Friday. I binged like I do not just every Friday the 13th all the time, but I binge as many movies as I could stuff into one day. It's just to me that's happiness, and you, my friend, you bring a certain happiness to all of us ghouls and and weirdos out there. The weird kids like
We're a side note. Everybody on Creature Feature, like I said, if somebody asked me, are you a horror fan? I'll be like, no, I'm more of a Trekkie, believe it or not. If I had to step into my alternate realm of whatever, I'd be jumping through that big round circle thing that talks and going back into Star Trek land. Horror movies and stuff. Like I said, I grew up with the crap, the horror hosts with the garbage. Very rarely did Creature Feature back in the day. Like you said, you had the 1 or 2 good movies. I got to see Frankenstein. I got to see Dracula. I got to see The Mummy, but there was a lot of garbage in between. So we celebrate the garbage. And with the news show, I'm going to be putting out feelers pretty soon. I'll be putting them out far. I'll be putting them out wide for people who make independent films and independent horror shorts. Anything from, yes, I'm a serious filmmaker and I'm going to make this slasher 5-minute test reel, to the guy who's like, hey, I want to have my stuff on Troma someday. So I'm going to make this, silly, wacky thing with blood and gore and boobies. I'm like, that's fine. I can edit out boobies. I've done it before and I don't like doing it, but I have to do it. But anywho, I want to send out a call for people. They can send stuff into Creature Feature and I will use it as filler for our show, and it's opportunity for some guy out of Lodi, Idaho, to get his little horror short on big time Minneapolis TV and the World Wide Web to some legitimacy. So the opportunities are just endless for fame and fortune for our filmmaker friends out there.
You heard it right here, everybody. If you're a filmmaker and you're filming those horror shorts and you're doing all this stuff, squirting blood at each other, and try to send it to Dr. Sanguinary, and you might get on the show. Um, I hate to interrupt us, Dr. Sanguinary, but I do have a message from my wonderful sponsor for all you bearded guys out there, all those smelly Sasquatch beards. If you need a beard balm, I suggest that you get with my sponsor. My sponsor is the Elegant Sasquatch, and so now a message from our sponsor.
Hey there, fellow follicle enthusiasts. We have a sponsor that's about to make your beards go wild with delight. Brace yourselves for the one and only, the Elegant Sasquatch. Are you ready to unleash your outer beast?
Cain, I've been waiting for this moment my entire bearded life. But tell me, how can the Elegant Sasquatch help us awaken our inner beasts?
Oh, my hairy companion, the Elegant Sasquatch has a treasure trove of beard products that will have your whiskers partying like it's the wildest night in the forest. From their aromatic beard oils to their beastly balms and buttery concoctions, they've got everything you need to make your beard sing with joy.
I can almost hear my beard belting out its own rendition of I Will Survive.
Your beard is in for a treat, my friend, and here's the best part. Every single product is handmade with love. Picture this, a team of Sasquatch artisans rocking their aprons and wielding their grooming tools, crafting beard goodies that will blow your mind. It's like a hairy fiesta of craftsmanship.
I can see those Sasquatch artists dancing with their combs and trimmers like they're on a hairy stage.
Absolutely. These bearded maestros pour their heart and soul into every bottle of beard oil, every tin of balm, and every tub of butter. They're like the Michelin-starred chefs of the beard world, creating culinary delights for your facial hair.
My beard is salivating in anticipation.
Well, get ready for your beard to do a happy dance because the Elegant Sasquatch has you covered from all angles. Their beard oils will make your whiskers as smooth as a buttery glide. Their balms will sculpt your beard into a masterpiece that would make Da Vinci jealous. Their butters will leave your beard softer than a cloud made of marshmallows, and their washes will cleanse your beard with a scent that's fresher than the waterfalls in the Rockies.
My beard is ready for the bearded revolution.
You can find the Elegant Sasquatch on Instagram and Facebook. They're ready to share their hairy wisdom, showcase their bearded customers, and entertain you with memes that will make your mustache curl with laughter.
I can't wait to join the hairy community and bask in the glory of their bearded memes.
So, folks, get ready to let your beards run wild, unleash your outer beast, and head over to Facebook and Instagram to find the Elegant Sasquatch. Trust me, your beard will thank you, and you'll be the envy of every bearded creature in the virtual forest.
Here's to smelling like a wild creature and embracing your inner Sasquatch.
Cheers to that, my fellow bearded brethren, and stay elegant with the Elegant Sasquatch.
So we're back after the sponsor. I don't feel bad about running a message from my sponsor. It helps me, it helps you, it helps everybody smell better and look better. So I wish I could grow a beard, but unfortunately, my facial hair grows like a child almost. But I'm back with the man, the myth, the legend. I'm back with Dr. Sanguinary, and something that really touched with me was that you're a Trekkie but at heart, and I am too. Like, I mean, thank goodness for Pluto for one, because I watch Pluto constantly, and it's just Star Trek TV all day long. I watch it constantly. I watch all the episodes. We'll sit in our little blow up hot tub and I'll watch Star Trek, but my wife absolutely hates it. Like, well, she comes home from lunch and I'll be watching Star Trek Next Generation. She says, like, this is the cheesiest thing I've ever seen. And that's what I love. I know it's like, it disgusts me.
From women, I can understand them not liking the Captain Kirk era, but Picard, come on. I thought every woman on the face of this planet loved Jean-Luc.
He's the most beautiful, balding, white-haired man in the in the world. Like, he's like a specter that we all wish we could be like.
He's a good role model, darn it.
He is, but man, I mean, I do love the original stuff. I mean, there's something to be said, obviously, but for me, it is Star Trek: The Next Generation. I mean, that's like hit me at the perfect time as a kid, and I just became obsessed with it from then on. I mean, you obviously love it too. What did you love about it the most? I mean,
well, mind you, I'm a couple of years older than you, but So, I caught it. I was born in what, 66. So I think when it came on TV. So growing up as a little kid, parents use the television as a babysitter. Okay. So, but back then we didn't have VCRs, so you couldn't I couldn't get babysit by Uncle Buzz and Uncle Woody. All right. So, it was whatever was on there. So it was, Star Trek and the Brady Bunch and whatever these shows that were in reruns constantly. So yeah, I was glued to Star Trek as a little kid, and and then they had in the early 70s they had the Mego dolls, and of course I had to have all the my first action figure, I guess you could call it, was the Dr. McCoy Mego doll. And that was lots of fun. And then they had the Enterprise, and I had all the guys and stuff, and the model kits. I don't know how many Enterprises I built as a kid, and it was just a lot of fun. And I remember when we moved to Omaha, this is one of these things that I'm going to get revenge on my parents for. We'd moved to Omaha, and I'm watching TV, and it was probably KMTV, because they had Star Trek and Hogan's Heroes and all these other shows that I just really loved. There was a commercial for a Star Trek convention downtown in Omaha, and who was it was Sulu and Scotty were going to be there.
Oh man!
And I was like, whoa, what's this? And then they were saying that you could see this unaired episode, this pilot episode called The Cage. They were going to show that there. And I'm like, what? Mom, Dad, Sulu, and Scotty, they're going to be, and they're going to show The Cage and autographs, and they're like, no.
We're not doing that.
Yeah, and my God, I wish I could remember how much the ticket prices were. It was probably something like $10.
Yeah.
So back in the day, and I went to a few cons before everything turned over into what a con is nowadays. But back then, when you went to a convention, the autographs and the celebrity meet and greets were part of the ticket price. So you'd go to a vendor and buy a photo, or you'd bring your autograph book, or you'd bring whatever garbage you wanted them to sign. And I think you got a limit, like two items or something like that. And this was before. Now all of a sudden, then you start going to cons and they're charging $10 a piece. Then they're charging 20. Then they're charging 60. And then they're charging, now it's astronomical,
Yeah.
But I really wanted to go to that Star Trek con. So now that my parents are in their late 70s, there's a number of fine nursing homes I'm looking into.
The most torturous ones, You're finally going to get them back for not letting you go to
questionable care and menu items. Remember that Star Trek convention in Omaha back in 76? Hope you like tapioca.
Here's a question I like to pose to people: is it Star Trek or Star Wars for you? If you had to put the two together, for me, it's easily Star Trek. But how about you?
Well, Star Trek obviously was first. When Star Wars came, I was 10 years old. Perfect age.
Yeah, right for the picking.
Perfect age. Because then they nailed me, because I had to have all the toys and all the crap.
Yeah.
I remember that first Christmas in 1977. Everybody got the same thing. There was a poster set, like a marker poster set. There were some Kenner puzzles. There was a record album,
wow.
Soundtrack, and that was about it. And then if you were interested, you could get the cardboard early bird set for the figures. So, but but all in all, Star Trek always, just because the actors have always been accessible, and they've always been inexpensive, I suppose, dollar per dollar. If you're spending money on Darth Vader versus Scotty, Scotty's always going to be a couple bucks cheaper or whatever. But those guys were everywhere, which was nice. You're a kid growing up. I had friends that met a couple of them at like Toys R Us.
Yeah.
when they were doing toy rollouts for the motion picture and stuff. So, plus just with my collecting, my crazy closet full of stupid, I've had everything in there at one point. I owned a lot of John Delancey's Q costumes at one point. I've had, passing through my collection, I've had 2 original Tribbles that were from the writer David Gerald, because he had found a whole garbage bag full of Tribbles in one of his storage units from 1967 or whenever. Currently, I think I've got one of John Delancey's costumes from Picard, so that's sitting in the closet collecting dust. And
Where it should be, right?
there was a big Star Trek auction yesterday, which I kept out of because one of the and it was all vintage 60s, original 60s stuff, and a lot of junk from the motion picture. And I saw Persis Kambata, wasn't screen worn, but it was a test, little skimpy scant outfit that I was going to bid on. And I'm like, I better stay away from this because this is gonna get into some pretty epic money.
Goodbye, Dr. Sanguinary budget, and hello to.
Yeah, exactly. But it's always for me, it's always a good investment because there were times where I don't want to say I was poor, but I was underemployed, and being able to move a $3,000 costume like that, it's pretty handy. So always a good good closet investment, as I like to call them.
Yeah, I always wanted to. I think we're all dying for. Well, I say all of us. Really, I just mean myself. Maybe I'm dying for a crossover between the two. Like say Captain Picard and the crew are up there in space, and pretty soon, they meet the Death Star hurling at them at ridiculous amount of.
Not
Like that would be
a nerd, but I'm sure the guys at the studios, how they like to do little Easter eggs, and they'll put, maybe I want to, I'm trying to think really hard. There's people out there that can probably find out, more than I, that, they put a Star Trek ship in a background scene in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they've done it.
I just want to see the captain hail the enemy, and Vader pops up, as the guy on the screen. And, I just think that would like blow my mind. I probably would die the happiest man in the world if that happened.
Well, I always tell everybody this, like, oh, well, we should have a crossover between the two. And I'm like, won't last that long because Q will show up and then boom, that's it. It's done.
It's over with.
More Empire, no more
That's
Jedi.
an easy way out.
Yep. Star Trek wins.
Yeah.
Always wins. That's all there
wins.
to it.
So you've got Kiss in the background here. I'm assuming you're at least a general in the Kiss army at this point, right?
Yeah, I'm up there. Yeah.
You're high up there. You're high ranking, of course.
Oh, it's all that nostalgia crap from when I was a kid, because of course, Kiss and got really big in 76. So I'm there in grade school and all the kids have got, the Kiss bubblegum cards.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing. And back when I was a kid, bubblegum cards were the bomb. Star Wars, they put a new set out every couple of months, and there were Kiss cards, and every TV show you could possibly imagine, Three's Companies, Charlie's Angels, just the stupidest stuff got bubblegum cards. But yeah, the nostalgia thing, I've got stacks of Kiss crap. I go and see Ace Frehley at least twice a year.
Oh yeah, I've seen him a couple times. He's incredible, man.
Yeah, so he's due actually at a horror convention in a couple of weeks. So I'll be out there with all my money going, here, I got more vintage Kiss toys. I got this color form set. I got this Mego doll. I got all this crap I need you to sign. So yeah.
Fed the Gene Simmons machine. You keep feeding that machine and he keeps growing like the blob. He's
yeah, and I can appreciate it. And now that I've seen I'm into that band Ghost now.
Yeah, they're great.
The Tobias Forge, the guy, the head Ghost dude, he's a big Kiss fan. You know, he all the stuff that I'm into. He's a little bit younger than I am, but he had an older brother, and he got exposed to all that '70s stuff. So I noticed that somebody made a posting of his birthday cake this year. He got a Kiss birthday cake, and
He's a
he is
monster fan, yeah.
played the Kiss handbook for merch like nobody's business.
Yeah.
This stuff just comes out. He hasn't gone to the ridiculous, so I haven't seen the Hello Kitty ghost figurines.
Yeah.
But he cranks out the T-shirts and the merch and the plushie dolls and just you name it, it's there, and people just go crazy for it. It's like a feeding frenzy, and he's smart. He makes it, in limited edition runs. 666 limited edition. So
he's smart in how he markets everything for sure. I'm a musician and a guitar player, and I played in many masks, but I don't know how these guys play at the level that they're playing in the mass. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how they do it without passing out, because I mean they're getting after it. When you watch them and everything, they got the devil mask, they got all this stuff going on. I've done it for Halloween shows. I wore Darth Vader masks during shows, but I can only do it for so long before I feel like I'm definitely gonna.
You play the same 20 songs over and over and over, you get pretty good. Back in my band days, we could play in the dark.
Oh, yeah, of course.
A time where we'd be downtown in Chicago at some shithole club, and boom, the lights go out, and I'm like, we're going acoustic, boys. We can still see what we're doing. We've played it so much, you do it folded. So yeah, so I figured, I'd go into that Kiss handbook too. So, this year I'll be a little more aggressive with my Doc merch.
Yeah, for sure.
So I did a test T-shirt design of some nurse shirts.
Mhm.
And so I'm going to go back to that artist and have her do some artwork of my 3 major nurses this year. So they'll all have their little nurse T-shirt. Yeah, some buttons and whatever, because everybody loves the nurses. They're cute and fun. And then, like I said, get some plushie dolls. I've contacted a company that does the traditional fuzzy black light posters, kind of like this David Bowie thing here. So I need to find the right artist to be able to do that really tacky, trippy 1970s kind of artwork for me to, slap on one of these black light fuzzy posters.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so I'm looking into some different things, which will be fun.
I'll definitely be feeding the Dr. Sanguinary Creature Feature Machine. Me and the 5 listeners that I all 5 of us, including the dog, will probably be feeding the machine as well. So I don't know if that helps, but we'll definitely be on that train.
We take what we can get. So, and another fun thing too is Creature Feature is just such a mishmash of everything. I can cross over very comfortably into any kind of like nerd realm and stuff. And like I said, everybody on the crew, they've all got their pop culture things that they're interested in.
Yeah.
One of the guys, he's into all the splatter stuff. Another guy, he's hardcore. A couple of the guys are hardcore into the old school wrestling, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant era kind of stuff. Music, we all run the gambit, everything. We're all into all sorts of weird stuff. We all like hokey movies. So, I'm comfortable being anywhere. Dr. Sanguinary can be at a Star Trek convention. Dr. Sanguinary can be, at a nerd con. Like I said, shameless plug, we're doing the Twin Cities Con with the CW. And Dr. Sanguinary, as much as I hate to say it, Dr. Sanguinary can be at sporting events. I'm not a sports guy at all, but I've gone to my fair share. I like hockey games. That's about it. But I'm not, this crazy thing. And yes, sports fans are nerds. They're just
they are
nerds. If you're going to put an inflatable Herbie the Husker out in your yard, you're a nerd. Sorry. But hopefully we'll be doing some sporting events with the CW, and might be nice to get into the concourse at a Twins game or something, or Vikings thing or something. Who knows? We'll see. And people are like, they'll be like the kids, Mommy, Daddy, look, there's Frankenstein over there and he's handing out free crap. I got candy here, kid, and left over from 2 years ago. Have a stale Tootsie Roll.
Yeah. But you're doing it, man, and you're in a
Go
big market
Bears.
now. You're doing what you have to do. You're going to Comic Cons, you're doing all this stuff, and that's the key.
It's all shameless promo. You got to be out there. And like I said, the original Doc, he was accessible.
Yeah.
What good, or I should say, what's the fun of having a TV show if you're not out, pressing the flesh, and meeting people and taking pictures and giving them a hard time. Whereas I see all these sad television and movie stars that are they're getting chased down and asked for autographs by their fans everywhere. They don't like it. Oh my God, I just want to smack those people. I'm like, be grateful that you're where you're at with all the millions and gajillions of dollars that you have, because I ain't got the millions and gajillions of dollars, but I can still find my time to get my old butt out there and do something. And when I'm out there, I've got the fishbowl. So I'm trying to shake people down for $1 or whatever. In Omaha, I still do stuff in Omaha, so keep your eyes peeled. I was planning on doing the Oddity Fest this year, but it just wasn't going to work out. But if I'm there, I might have the fishbowl up. I'll be collecting from anything from a homeless shelter to Ukraine war relief for Red Cross or something.
Yeah.
When I'm up in Minneapolis, I've got a couple of charities that I'm looking to start getting hooked up with and working with them. Hopefully I'll be doing Red Cross blood drives again. So I really liked doing those. And when I do the blood drives, I do the whole thing. They don't pull up and I just show up and go, here, I'm Dr. Sanguinary, I'll sign an autograph. No, I'm sitting at the table, checking people in, walking them into the van, making sure, they got all their documents, blah, blah, blah. So I actually do the work when I do.
It's so bad. It's so bad that these people, these famous people are so oppressed by people admiring them and want, like would lay themselves in front of them, to want an autograph or to talk to them. So it's great to have someone who actually cares and is as accessible as yourself, and you're doing, good things. You're not pretending to, donate to Hawaii as so you have $1 billion like Oprah and The Rock, but you're begging other people for money instead.
Well, I just think this goes back to once again, child of the 70s with the TV hosts.
Yeah.
Kids show hosts in particular, because, you get out of school, get home at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whatever. There was always a cartoon show on one of the TV stations or some sort of kids programming for an hour or two, Flintstones and then Star Trek or whatever,
Yeah.
But these kids show hosts, they would do their fair share of the charity stuff too. Before we moved to Omaha, obviously Dr. Sanguinary was involved with the MDA. There was I think it was called Sadie's Treehouse, that I would come home and watch Bugs Bunny cartoons. And she'd have a little peanut gallery in there, and I'd be like, oh man, I wish I could go to be in the peanut gallery in Sadie's Treehouse, but that was in Indianapolis, and that was never going to happen. But, you got to play games and win prizes and all that other junk, and there were the cartoons. But she also did stuff for the MDA, so she had the standard carnival kit program. Doc had Spookorama. That was his thing that he designed, which was based on the original carnival kit. But you had the kiddie show host doing the carnival kit, so the kids would right away. A girl across the street. First time I ever saw a carnival kit program was like 1973 or 74. Little girl across the street did the carnival kit thing, and the whole backyard was this mini carnival, and she had like every adult in the neighborhood help her out, and there were tons of prizes. There was like a cake walk with baked goods. People donated toys and records and just all sorts of crazy stuff, for prizes for this thing, which was really cool. Old rock concert t-shirts or something, it was pretty neat.
Yeah.
So obviously when we went and moved to Omaha and I saw Doc had the Spookorama kit, never had a kid. I lived in a big neighborhood, right past the Air Force Base. So most of the people that lived in this neighborhood, their parents were, big brass, captains and majors and lieutenant colonels and whatnot. Nobody did a spookorama kit in their garage or basement or anything. Not a soul. And I mean, every year I would, bike around this humongous neighborhood looking for somebody that would do a spookorama, and there was nobody. People would get the kit just because it had the cool mask on the back you could cut out. But,
Yeah, for sure.
Apparently you had to go downtown into Omaha to see the kids that were doing that or whatever. I tried, and my parents were like, "No, you're not doing this in the garage." No. So once again, nursing home is coming up.
Coming up soon. No. Well, I wouldn't be keeping true to myself if I didn't. I do some paranormal investigation with a group, and so I have to ask Dr. Sanguinary, do you have any brushes with the paranormal? Have you seen any ghosts? Have you ever been in a haunted house or that you were truly scared of?
No.
No.
I hate to disappoint you. It's all malarkey.
It's all malarkey. That's okay. I want to hear your take on it.
And I am. There was a guy named Harry Houdini who offered $1 million to anybody that could prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that there was paranormal anything. And you know how many people collected on that? 0. And I extend that offer, and I've extended it to, there is a place in Omaha that is known for paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
And when they were first starting out, I sent them a nice little email because they supposedly had this haunted, cursed, I think it was a dagger or a sword or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I offered to come over and taunt it. I would lick it. I would do everything to annoy the whatever horrible spirits were existing within this weapon, and never got any reply back. Yes. So, it's.
I know of the said place that you're talking about. I know that some people might even refer to it as a place of BS, but that's about the furthest I'm going to talk about. But no, that I love that take because just because I'm into it, just because I want to hear people's other side of it. It is hard because there's no great evidence on it. Like all the evidence that you see out there is a picture of matrixing that we see like a blob on the screen, and we're like, oh my gosh, that's my grandpa's face from 1935.
Honestly, I'm a little kid, I'm watching these crappy horror movies, and we had these things called scholastic book fairs.
Yep.
Every year. So my mom would give me like $5 and I'd buy all these monster books and horror books. And I had books on ghosts and all the cryptozoology garbage and whatever. I mean, you're a kid, you love it. But here's the thing, and this is what turned me into the big skeptic. I'm like, okay, well, I've got all these books on ghosts, and there's that famous picture of that big shrouded ghost on the big stairwell, very famous picture. I'm like, where in the hell can I go see that? Because I've been in 1,000 crappy old houses, and I've been in a million dusty old buildings. Where are the freaking ghosts? Okay, I'm not seeing them. Hello, the ghost. I'm like, oh, how come this guy is so special that he gets to catch a photo of a ghost, and me, I don't get jack on my little 110 Kodak Instamatic camera with the little flash bulb that turns. How come I can't see that? Now, my parents have always lived in very old turn of the century houses that they fix it up. So they've got stained glass windows and, beautiful old things, but those houses creak. There's cold spots in them everywhere because that's how old houses freaking work. There's nothing you can do about it. So I must have been standing in 1,000 ghosts with all these cold spots in their houses and whatnot. I had to take a nucleonics class in high school. Went to this rich high school. They had a gameter, which has uranium in it and all this stuff. So you learn hardcore, and they send you home with one day. Everybody gets to go home with a Geiger counter,
right?
Because you have to record all the natural radiation that's out there. So, I'd go up to our old tube TV set, and that thing would go click, 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 because I'm like this. I'm like, oh, that's why we have this burned out mark on the wall from this big giant tube television set.
Right.
But you go in the basement and you go in anything around metal pipes, you'd pick up all this background static radiation and stuff. It's everywhere. So there was one time that I was shooting a commercial at this bar in Ralston, and these fellas just happened to be in the basement because at one point this bar was supposedly a funeral home back in the day. So they're trying to convince me that there was the ghost of a little boy. It's always the ghost of a little boy in the basement.
Yes, it is.
Bar. It's always a little boy. And I'm like, why would there be a ghost of a little boy in the basement of a funeral home? Wouldn't the little boy be ghosting where he died at the hospital or on the farm in the, from the thresher machine he fell in or whatever the hell? Why is it here in the funeral home? And why isn't there like a timestamp on ghosts? How long has this little kid been here? Has he been here 200 years? Has he been here 150 years? He's been here 80 years. How long does he have to live here? Beetlejuice, kind of wrote the book, you have to stay there for so long, or if you step out the window, those sandworms. So, but I'm like, it's amazing that there's no date stamp on these mysterious ghosts, and they've got the contraptions set up all over the place with the little blinky lights and stuff, and I'm like, not impressed.
Yeah, you're completely.
I don't want to be Mr. Mean Guy or whatever, and say, you have mental health issues, but if
we all do, that's the thing. I can certainly check that on my checklist.
If this is what you do to have fun and you're not hurting anybody, then God bless you.
Exactly.
But I will be there if you need me to lick something or on something that it is not possessed by Satan, because I'm sick and tired of every single creepy doll being possessed by something, and it's never the R2-D2 1977 Star Wars action figure that's possessed by the satanic spirits.
It's never anything cool, it's always some ugly porcelain faced doll that you just want to throw against the wall anyway.
Yeah, it's a crappy doll. It's like I said, it's not like the vintage $6 million man action figure with the little button that makes him click his arm up and lift the engine. Or
that's what I would haunt. I mean, if I had something like that, why wouldn't you possess, a figure like that? Something of value, something that you really love.
If I want to terrorize or torture or something, maim somebody, I want to be in an object that I know that they're going to pick up and like. Yeah. So they're going to be like, oh, look, it's the Boba Fett Slave One spaceship. Fuck yeah. Oh, bad one. Boba Fett spaceship. Oh.
Exactly. Well, I love that idea, and I love that. I love when people, tell me the opposite. I'm not the guy that wants to hear what I want to hear. Like, oh, just because I'm into it, he has a different opinion. Now I hate him. I actually
have to agree to disagree.
Exactly. Well, you heard it here, everybody. You heard it here from Dr. Sanguinary himself. Those of you who are here to talk about ghosts and goblins, Dr. Sanguinary, ghosts are crap, everybody.
You can take your Loch Ness monsters and your Bigfoots and oh my God, I won't even get into some of the emails that I've received from true believers, and you're not
going to get that type of email from me. And if I come across the possessed sword, I'll definitely take your word on it, and I'll come to your house and have you lick it.
Anything that's possessed, or there's always people like, oh well, we'll come over and cleanse your house. Well, you know what? I'll come and cleanse your house too. You just give me a call. I need a 12-pack of like cheap beer, like Old Style, or something, or Old Milwaukee, or whatever, and I'll cleanse your house for you.
You'll cleanse it in all sorts of places.
It'll be cleansed. There won't be nobody left in that house.
You'll mark it like the dog.
Of any evil intent whatsoever, with a money back guarantee.
Well, I don't want to take up. This has been a I mean, believe it or not, this is a bucket list thing for me to be able to talk to you. And I'm just so thrilled, that I can have a platform to talk to a guy like yourself. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. I don't want your makeup running like the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania or something with tears. So thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. If there's anything apparently, of course, the show, but if there's anything you want to plug, I should be running this one fairly soon. So
Yeah, just wherever you are in the world, creaturefeaturetv.com. We got a brand new episode every week. Once in a while, we might slip in an old classic over the past 10 years. Goldie moldy for you. But for the most part, we're shooting new stuff, new cast, new nurses, lots of fun. It's like a snowflake. You never know what you're going to get on this show because we just throw everything in there. Lots of fun. And yeah, so I hope to see you out there. And if like all the other guys on the internet and stuff, like our Facebook page, Dr. Sanguinary's Creature Feature, just hit the like button and you can leave little responses and stuff to any of the posts we make. We do moderate them, so if you say naughty words, we'll probably delete it. But otherwise, we like to hear from you and get your opinions and see, if you like this or you want more of that or whatever.
Yeah.
We try to please.
Absolutely. Well, we got the man, everybody. I hope you guys check everything out, and I really do appreciate your time, man.
All right, it's been fun.
Yep,
Everybody take care and be good to each other out there.
I'll see you on the other side.
Hi, kids. As most of you know, magic is very strongly connected to the spiritual realm. When stuff comes up missing and you can't explain it, it's those damn ghosts stealing everything. So for today's trick, I'm gonna have a very special, lovely assistant. The ghost of Marie Antoinette.
Boom!
Don't quit your day job. Oh, look what Marie Antoinette has brought for us. The famous guillotine trick. As you know, she lost her head over this trick back in France. But this one is made in Taiwan at the Acme Company. Let's try it out, shall we? As you can see, razor sharp blade. I will insert my finger into the hole. And go. I'm just kidding. As you can see, no, not yet.
Sorry, I can't see.
You're good. As you can see, the blade passed completely through my finger. Now, remove the blade. Ha. Look at there, kids. Ha. I'm fine. Nothing hurt. It's all intact. That's magic.
Hey, what's going on? You know what? I've been watching this off from the side, and this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. First of all, you know what? Everybody out there in TV land, Creature Feature, we got something important. We got something called standards. And I'm sure you've been sitting here watching this garbage, and there's probably a million things to offend 500,000 people. And you know what? I cannot let this go on any further. I absolutely, look at this. I cannot let people see really bad magic tricks. I just can't. So.
You think you can do better?
Yeah, I think this is a bunch of malarkey. So here. Tell you what, I think I'm going to try this little stupid trick of yours out there.
Be my guest.
So here, I'll put my finger in, and then what do you do here? You just slam it down? Or
push the blade right through your finger.
Okay, well, I'm going to put it over here and just go like this, and watch, this thing is made in China. It's just junk. It's like, my finger!
You're a doctor, take care of it. That's how the magic's done, kids.